so it's a risk, but I think that it's the right decision at the right time, and I think it's a great candidate. So let me just tell you how, I know from the outside, it looks like, why can't you guys figure this stuff out? But let me just tell you that there's a problem that exists in Washington, D.C., and it's called entitlement spending, and it's the way the budget is done. And so what happens is when you create an entitlement or a mandatory spending program, whether it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, what you in fact do is you lay out the eligibility criteria. And once that eligibility criteria is laid out, anybody that is eligible then, you have to fund, whether you have the revenue or not. And so there's been, and under President Obama, in the Democrat-controlled Congress in 2009 and 2010, the criteria for a number of programs were expanded. And so we've had, if you look at the 2008 budget, when George Bush was president, even if you include all the expenditures retired, the deficit was a record $465 billion. The first year of the Obama administration, it went up to $1.3 trillion, and it has stayed at over $1 trillion ever since, with no end in sight. And so 57% of all spending right now is entitlement spending. And the trajectory of that is exploding. It's just exploding. And what it's doing is it's going to crowd out. So when we debate appropriations bills on the floor, we're only debating right now 38% of the budget. And so you cannot cut your way out of this crisis by dealing with 38% of the budget, which is being crowded out, and it will become less and less a percentage as we go forward due to entitlement spending. And so you have to go in and change the eligibility criteria to change the trajectory of those programs. And that's the honest math that we've got to relate to the American people, that we just have to make some tough decisions. And there was a press report I've seen, and I'm going to, when I get back to Washington, I want to verify this, that there are today 100 million Americans on welfare in this country. And we're not talking about Medicare, Social Security, we're talking about public assistance programs. And so I'm going to check that out, see if that's real. But I know there's been such an incredible expansion of the program. This administration, they're so desperate to increase dependency at every level. The whole notion of the whole philosophy of Barack Obama and his congressional allies in the Congress is to create dependent constituencies to sustain power. At the corporate level, through corporate welfare, that creates distortions in our economy, misallocations of capital, inefficiencies, slows down, doesn't help this economy, slows it down, makes us less competitive at the end of the day. And individual welfare. To the extent that in the food stamp program is just exploding. And 80% of the farm bill is now the food stamp program. And it has almost doubled under this administration. They are so aggressive about trying to get people signed up for the food stamp program that if you go on the website of the United States Department of Agriculture, there is one part of the website is called Novelas. And that, if any of you speak Spanish, that's for like Spanish soap operas. And they've created like a Spanish soap opera with different characters. And the theme is that it's okay to sign, and the target is Spanish-speaking legal immigrants to get them signed up for the food stamp program. My mother's an immigrant to this country, and she came here for the freedom that this country has, not to be dependent upon the government and a public assistance program. Any other country, if you were a legal resident and applied for public assistance, they'd throw you out of the country. I mean, and it's stunning, but it's that aggressive approach to try to create dependency on what they consider a future class of voters in America. So I just think it's absolutely stunning what's happening, and it's all about today. It's all about sustaining power today and not caring about America tomorrow. And let me wrap up with a lame duck session. It's potential that it depends on what happens. If it's who's elected president. If we take the Senate and Mitt Romney's the president, my guess is we'll do whatever we can to provide any kind of extension or bridge to get us into next year, so that we can put our own programs in place and make some bold decisions. If Obama is elected president, then we're going to have to deal with that. Essentially, what you have is something unique in the history of the country. That you have big things like the taxes, Bush tax cuts expiring at the end of this year, that will if no action is taken, that they all will automatically go up to the prior level beforehand they were passed. A significant tax increase on this economy during a time when the growth is sluggish. Then also the sequester from the last deadline, from the deadline of negotiations, $1.2 trillion. It is spread over 10 years, disproportionately on defense. And so the question is, if no alternative is found, negotiated, then that will be automatic. So we have things where you don't kick the can down the road that they're automatic. The question is, can we do better? Can we come up with better solutions? And so that will be our challenge during the length of session of Congress, should in fact, particularly the president, be reelected. My own race is tough. There's no question about it. And dramatically new district, 40% of it's new. Good part of that is Democrat. But let me just say about the Democrats in the district, because they're not like Democrats in a lot of other areas. I grew up in the Democrat area of the district in North Aurora. The legacy of that area, for people certainly my age and older and a little bit younger, is it was a military, its origins are as a military community. They do not share the views of liberal Democrats when it comes to our military. They're conservative when it comes to issues like national security and their respect for veterans. The other issue is they do not subscribe to the radical environmental agenda of the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C. They believe in jobs, a lot of them blue collar, paycheck to paycheck. They look at things like the Keystone Pipeline and say, those are jobs. They look at things like energy development and oil and gas development in Colorado and understand that those are great jobs for them to help their families out. And so they don't subscribe to that. Certainly on the class warfare issue, there's a nexus into that community there, and no doubt they're pro-union. But they don't. But I do have some avenues into that community, and I think that's important. And so I appreciate all your help on this race. It's a tough race. This is a district where Barack Obama won by 8 points in 2008. And I don't think that, I think the path to victory for Obama or for Romney is Colorado. I don't think either one of them are going to win this state without winning the area of this congressional district, just bottom line. And so I think we can do it. And I want to thank all of you that have helped me so far, and anybody who hasn't, I really appreciate your help. And with that, let me open up to any questions you got. Yes, Ruth.
We've all seen these scenes from Greece where the people are rioting against their government. And my major concern, he's given away so much to entitlements. If we try to cut those entitlements back at all, is there going to be rioting here?
The question is in Greece, there's civil unrest at this time. That the standard of living is so dependent on the borrowing and spending of the Greek government that there's civil unrest. They destroyed the free enterprise system of the Greek economy in the process of having a government so much larger than the people can afford, and they have some horrible regulatory policies that are very anti-growth. So I think if you look at the elements of the Ryan plan I was saying that if you look at, let's say, take Medicare, take Social Security, what it in effect says is